The Dassault Mirage 2000 formed a potent interceptor and strike component of the French Air Force for the last 3 decades. She has since proven a capable performer under extreme combat conditions and has seen actions across Europe, the Middle East and, more recently, in North Africa as a part of the NATO contingent enforcing the no-fly zone over Libya as a result of the February 2011 rebellion uprising. Despite the aircraft currently being replaced by the much more advanced Dassault Rafale multi-role fighter, the Dassault Mirage 2000 still plays a role in operations of the French Air Force today, and the air forces of other countries around the world. The French Dassault aviation concern made for itself a considerable name during the Cold War. The firm was founded in 1930 and headquartered out of Paris, France. While World War II in Europe disrupted much of its early potential, the firm regrouped during the formative rebuilding years in France. After the war, the concern generated some of the finest jet-powered French platforms which went on to see considerable success in the overseas market. In 1979, the French government bought Dassault stock shares and went on to own upwards of 46% of the company. Today, the firm employs over 12,400 personnel. Some of the key developments of Dassault during this critical time became the Dassault Ouragan of 1949. The Ouragan was notable for it being the first indigenous jet-powered combat fighter after the end of World War II. Up to then, the country had relied solely on foreign purchases of jet-powered aircraft for its inventory. The Dassault Mystère 4 of 1952 proved another very successful design with its basic appearance and jet-powered nature. The first true success came in the form of the Dassault Mirage 3 series, a sleek, streamlined mount powered by a single engine placement utilizing a delta wing configuration with a single vertical tail fin. The aircraft appeared in 1956 and proved an excellent air-to-air and air-to-ground platform, particularly in Israeli hands during the Six-Day War of 1967. The Dassault Mirage F1 was the next logical evolution in the series but moved away from the delta wing platform, instead mounting swept wings at the shoulder. This type, like the Mirage 3 before it, proved another Dassault success and was a true multi-role jet fighter in every sense of the word. Export numbers proved strong. By this time, work had begun on other more modern projects to succeed initial offerings. Origins of the Mirage 2000 itself lay in an original joint British-French program entitled Anglo-French Variable Geometry with the goal of producing a swing-wing multi-role aircraft platform. The program began in 1965 but the French retreated from the program after just a short 2 years of involvement, leading to the project's formal cancellation. Regardless, the British later teamed up with the West Germans and Italians and ultimately created the successful Panavia Tornado swing-wing multi-role strike fighter out of the multi-role combat aircraft program that ensued. In the meantime, Dassault engineers continued work on several products to fulfill an evolving French government requirement that was entitled Avion de Combat Future or Super Mirage. The early approach, featuring two SNEC MAM53 3-turbofan engines, was regarded as too large and costly for the need, resulting in the project's cancellation by the French government in 1975. A new requirement in 1976 sought a cost-effective and lightweight solution built around a single SNEC MA engine and smaller overall scale. The new aircraft design direction became known as the Mirage 2000. Externally, the Mirage 2000 shared the same aerodynamic profile as that of the Mirage 3 before it. Dassault engineers sought to iron out the low-level handling issues and range limitations of its predecessor by the implementation of a delta wing configuration and a computerized fly-by-wire control network that would assist the airframe in remaining stable when aerodynamic laws said otherwise. The Mirage 2000 was Dassault's first aircraft to utilize such technology. The type would also introduce HOTAS control, HUD and CRT display screens in the cockpit of French fighter aircraft. A Thomson CSF-RDM multimode mission radar would be fitted under the nose cone to help with target tracking and engagement. The Mirage 2000 would be primarily categorized as an interceptor, but with strike capabilities being an added forte, and power would come from a single SNECM AM53.5 afterburning turbofan engine of 19,800 pounds thrust. The aircraft frame would be both thin and light, resulting in the agile system the French government sought. French authorities approved of the design on December 18, 1975, with the intention of replacing the aging Mirage F1 series. The Mirage 2000 addressed two key concerns of previous Mirage forms. The delta wing planform allowed for greater internal fuel loads, which directly increased operational ranges, and it also allowed for considerably more in the way of ordnance carriage. Conversely, such an arrangement also led to inherently poor performance, instability and inadequate agility, which is why the digital fly-by-wire proved essential to her design success. The single SNECMA power plant was aspirated by a split intake duct system beginning at either side of the single-seat cockpit. To maintain a streamlined form in profile, the cockpit contoured directly into the fuselage spine. The nose cone was very sharp in appearance, and the vertical tail fin was fitted well aft of midships, this over the large circular exhaust ring at the rear of the SNECMA power plant. Since the aircraft used the delta wing planform, no horizontal tail planes were needed at the rear of the design. The undercarriage was conventionally tricycle in nature and fully retractable. An in-flight refueling probe was permanently set to the right of the cockpit front along the forward fuselage. Like other Mirage platforms before it, the Mirage 2000 was the subject of various quantitative export orders. As such, export-minded designs were generated by Dassault to fit world demand for a high-performance fighter with strike capabilities. This became the Mirage 2000D, a single-seat multi-role variant based on the original Mirage 2000C Interceptor. The type was fitted with RDM Plus radar and the SNECMA AM53P2 series turbofan engine. The Mirage 2000D was joined by its two-seat trainer counterpart known as the Mirage 2000DD. Egypt purchased the export Mirage 2000M fighter and Mirage 2000BM trainer. India procured the aircraft as the Mirage 2000H and dubbed it the Vajra or Thunderstreak in her inventory. Upgrades have kept these mounts continually viable. Peru knew their Mirage 2000s as the Mirage 2000P and owns 12 of the type, 2 of these being trainers. Taiwan later purchased both fighters and trainers from the French. Other operators have included Brazil, Greece, the UAE and Qatar. France naturally owns the largest contingent of Mirage 2000s, numbering 315 aircraft. This is followed in quantity by the 68 fielded by the UAE, the 60 utilized by Taiwan, the 50 or so by India and 20 by Egypt. Qatar, Peru and Brazil each maintain only a dozen Mirage 2000s in their stables. The Mirage 2000 was fielded in combat during the 1991 Gulf War against the forces of Saddam Hussein. Air superiority was quickly reached and allowed a major ground campaign to follow. Her resume was further extended in the decade due to her involvement in the Bosnian or Kosovo War of the late 1990s. As part of Operation Enduring Freedom following the American invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, French Mirage 2000 aircraft were put into action once again, attacking ground-based Taliban and Al-Qaeda strongholds. More recently, the Mirage 2000 of the French Air Force has been seen over the skies of Libya attempting to help contain the army of Libyan leader al-Qaddafi against the ongoing rebellion with oil production at stake. Mirage 2000s are primarily being called for use to protect the skies in the NATO-mandated no-fly zone,